An Unlikely Ally by Eugene Mathena. In the unfathomable reaches of space, where the stars seemed like distant echoes in a vast, black sea, a swirling vortex of chaotic energy twisted and turned, creating ripples across the fabric of time itself. This was the realm of conspicuous, a place between moments where past, present, and future collided in a violent dance. Time itself had no true meaning here, only the forces that sought to control it. Mr. Fiero stood tall, his coat billowing around him, eyes fixed on the looming figure before him. His dark hair whipped in the windless void of the realm. He was a man accustomed to traveling through time, using the Keystone device, a mysterious artifact that had been his key to countless adventures. But now, standing before him was an adversary far more formidable than any he had encountered. Father Time, an ancient being with an ageless face, draped in robes that shimmered with the dust of centuries, looked at him with cold, calculating eyes. His long, bony hands were clasped together as if he were preparing to manipulate the very threads of time. At his side stood his army of time bandits, men and women cloaked in the shadows of time, their forms barely visible, like ghosts drifting through the air. Mr. Fiero, Father Time's voice echoed, ancient and distant. You should have never tampered with the Keystone. It is mine, and time itself bends to my will. Beside Mr. Fiero, Lady Jane Farmer raised her camera, the lens gleaming under the flickering light of the temporal realm. Her genius had always been her greatest asset, and though she was outmatched by Father Time's powers, her quick wit and technological inventions had kept them one step ahead for years. Her eyes narrowed as she adjusted the settings on her camera. We'll see about that, Father Time. You may control time, but we control the moments. Father Time's lips curled into a smile, though it was devoid of any warmth. You control moments? No, I control all moments. The past, the future, and the present. Everything leads to me. And this time, you will not escape. He raised his hand, and with a single motion, the air around them rippled, a tidal wave of time crashing down on Mr. Fiero and Lady Jane. The time bandits surged forward, their hands glowing with the power to bend reality. But Lady Jane, ever quick, flicked a switch on her camera, releasing a blinding flash that scattered the shadows around them. We can't win this by force, Mr. Fiero shouted, his voice hoarse from the pressure of time warping around them. We need to use the Keystone. Lady Jane nodded, her hands moving with practiced precision as she tried to activate the Keystone device embedded in her bag. But Father Time's power was overwhelming, and every attempt to stabilize time was thwarted by his manipulation. You think you can just take it and run, Fiero? Father Time's voice was a growl. Time is not so easily outrun. With a final, devastating surge of energy, Father Time's power engulfed the two, dragging them into a vortex of spiraling clocks and hourglasses. Their forms distorted and twisted as they were torn from the realm of conspicuous. When they regained consciousness, the air was heavy, moist, and thick with the scent of salt. The world around them was dark and still. The sounds of the sea were faint, and the wind carried a chill that cut through their clothes. Lady Jane groaned as she sat up, her fingers brushing against the rocky soil beneath her. Where are we? Mr. Fiero looked around, his eyes narrowing. The landscape was harsh, rocky cliffs with sparse vegetation. The sky was overcast, and in the distance, he could see the silhouette of a small, isolated house. The remnants of their time travel disorientation were fading, and a sickening realization crept in. This is St. Helena, Mr. Fiero murmured. His mind raced as he pieced the clues together. Napoleon was exiled here. This is where we've been sent. Lady Jane's eyes widened. But how? Why? We've been stripped of the Keystone and left with nothing but time itself. Before Mr. Fiero could respond, a low voice echoed from behind them. You've come to my island. They spun around to see a man standing at the edge of a cliff, silhouetted against the dull sky. His clothes were tattered, but the air around him exuded authority. It was a figure from history, the very same man who had been exiled to St. Helena. Napoleon Bonaparte, Mr. Fiero said, recognizing the man immediately. Napoleon stepped forward, his face weathered, but his eyes still burning with the fire of a man who had once ruled the world. I know who you are, he said with a nod, surveying the two travelers with a mix of curiosity and wariness. Time has a way of playing tricks on men, but it seems I have a new audience for my last days. Come, I have much to discuss. The three of them walked to Longwood House, Napoleon's place of exile. As they entered, Napoleon gestured to a chair and sat across from them. The room was sparse, furnished with little more than the necessities. Napoleon poured a drink from a nearby bottle and leaned back, staring into the distance. So, Father Time, Napoleon began, he is the one who cast you here, yes? Mr. Fiero nodded. He controls time itself, and he's taken something very important from us, the Keystone device. Without it, we cannot travel through time. Napoleon's eyes sharpened. And you wish to retrieve it? Lady Jane raised an eyebrow. You know how to get it back? Napoleon's lips twisted into a smile. I've spent many years observing. You think you can break free from Father Time's grasp, but you are not the first to challenge him. It is not an easy thing to outsmart the fabric of time itself. Mr. Fiero leaned forward. But we have to try. We cannot let him keep the Keystone. If he controls time, he controls everything. Space, history, our very existence. Napoleon's eyes glimmered with a strange, calculating light. Then we will need more than wits to outwit Father Time. But I've always believed in the power of alliances. Together, perhaps we can change our fates. Lady Jane smiled slyly. So you're in? Napoleon gave a slight chuckle. In? I've never been out. The three unlikely allies, Mr. Fiero, Lady Jane Farmer, and Napoleon Bonaparte, formed a tenuous alliance, united in their shared goal to retrieve the Keystone device and free themselves from Father Time's grip. They had no time to waste. The island was a prison, but together, they might just have the cunning and courage to escape and protect the flow of time from the sinister hands of Father Time. The true battle for the future had only just begun. To be continued.